speaker for this afternoon, or actually this morning, still morning. This individual came to the United States as a refugee during the war with Iraq. As a product of talent search, he compelled to join the ranks of TRiO during college as an upper bound advisor at UC Davis, where he graduated with degrees in biology, psychology, and ethnic studies. Ooh, that's a lot. He has served as a public school math teacher to non-native English speakers in high schools and juvenile halls. Soon after, he directed community-based organizations like the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula and liaised college access for first-generation students of color on behalf, I am a math teacher, exactly, on behalf of Stanford University. Today, he coordinates college readiness programs for youth and Making Waves education program in Richmond, California, and hopes to research urban policy and education in a doctorate program near you. So now that's what I had to say about him, because that's what he told me to say. So I'm going to tell you the real story about this guy. I met this individual as a colleague at UC Davis, and I'm going to tell you right now, this guy bleeds TRiO. His heart is TRiO. His heart is for you guys. He knows what you guys are going through. He knows exactly what you're going through. You guys met him this morning, but today he's going to motivate you with some words that I'm quite sure some of you may have never heard, because I'm a math person, and he's going to educate you. He's going to show you how it is. Please welcome Arash.
Like I mentioned earlier, I don't mince words, I keep it real. Thought I was going to be NFL Madden champ. I didn't think I needed to go to college. I could make a living off just kicking my friends' butts and getting paid for it, just stealing their lunch money. If it wasn't for people like Sam and Donnell and my friends at UC Davis, I probably would have dropped out of college, let alone high school. I would love to say that I'm all that. I have a lot of brain swag, and I just figured it out on my own. But I would be lying to you. I'll be fronting if I didn't say that TRiO was instrumental in my development as a man and as an educator, because it's all circle effect, right? I want to see all of you up here one day. So my sincerest thanks to you, SB3. Sam, much like other TRiO colleagues around the country, interface with students with nothing short of radiant smiles and touchscreen-like sensitivity for our needs. It is because of examples of TRiO leaders across the country that I feel confident speaking on behalf of these programs that paved the road of post-secondary opportunity for all of you. So who am I? My story begins before TRiO, when its place in my life was desperately needed, but I didn't know how bad I needed TRiO. I came to the United States, as Sam said, as a refugee from war-torn Iran. I actually lost both my siblings in that war. They were killed in the line of duty. They were drafted, and we received political asylum. We escaped to the United States as a 7th grader, not speaking a word of English. My single-parent mother pushed for survival and escaped to the U.S. During my initial years as a first-generation student, before ETS and Upper Bound entered my life, I can recall despising substitute teacher day. And some of y'all with really long names that aren't phonetic, you might feel me, right? The teacher gets your name like, I'm going to butcher it, but... And then you're just like, oh, hold up, that's me. Don't even bother. That's me. That's me. You know, and I get that teacher that either call me A-Rash, really clever, I've never heard that before, or Mr. Dankin Dookie Doo, yes, I know my last name is a trip. And then eventually I felt like, you know, my career in education evolved. Eventually my students started calling me A, or hey dude. So I feel like I was on the come up. And I virtually begged my mother to tell school I was sick just to avoid the incessant teasing and harassment at the expense of my fellow classmates. I couldn't stomach learning. I didn't realize there was a lot of swag in being a nerd. Being a nerd is cool. To learn was to commit social suicide. Okay? It just wasn't at the fore of what first-generation students were supposed to be. And as Dr. Sanchez said earlier, you know, it's a lot easier to repeat failure than success. Repeating success requires support. Repeating success requires practice, habit, concentric circles of your own belief and for others to believe in you. Okay? I liken my desire for college as placing a kick me sign on top of my head. If my partner saw that I was reading, I might as well kick my own butt. Okay? Because I knew what was coming next. The children of immigrants who will recycle their funds of knowledge back into the community are not supposed to exist. Not because it's not natural, because we haven't made it a habit yet. Can we make it a habit? Yes. It's a model of circular poetry as far as I'm concerned. So if any of you think you're not a poet, you being here is a model of circular poetry. The economic and cultural lifeblood of our nation, the bedrock from which poverty and racial quarantine, despite the barrage of challenges, are outmaneuvered by motivated, resourceful, and inspirational leaders who routinely do more with less. I had never heard the words, do more with less, until I came to TRiO. Actually, I did, but my mom said it in her accent, so I was just really trying to make it out. Over time, I've encountered incredible mentors and colleagues in Talent Search and Upper Bound. Sam, Donnell, Lupita, Luis are just a few. They made it cool to be a nerd. In fact, nerd was soon synonymous with TRiO. Nerd became synonymous with handsome guy, sexy man, Persian dude, able, destined for greatness, man NFL football champ. Okay, maybe not that, but we're working on it. Growing up in a single-parent home with a mother who barely finished formal education, the words do more with less haunted my household. But not until my experience as a TRiO advisor did I begin to understand that one enclave of educators have actually mastered the art of doing more with less. That is a damn shame, that we have to do more with less. Who does more with less? We do, because we got skills. But imagine what we could do if we had more. I'm here to advocate for change, much like my contemporaries. It's about time that the 50% of our nation's first-generation students, who comprise over 90% of our nation's dropouts and inmates, and only 10% of its college graduates, are served with more love through action. Only makes sense that TRiO is part of that equation. TRiO programs are by design not spare parts on a school tree, but key members of our academic think tanks. Students' different iterations of today's TRiO Day gathering are happening all over the United States. You got homies that you haven't even met yet. It's a family, okay? Students, your collective voice, your collective success, your college admission letters, which should be framed. So if you need help with a frame, we can make one, okay? Your attendance here amounts to a movement that began in 1965 on the East Coast with Howard University, with the first Upper Bound program. Over time, as more students like you broke barriers by reaching college graduation, someone said, oh, what? First-generation students of color can actually think, they can read, it's cool for them, they embrace education, let's bring it to the West Coast. And now you find yourself here today. My young brothers and sisters, to keep these programs alive, it is crucial that you keep doing work. Like E40 said, get your grown man and grown woman on. What? You got a family behind you. All the adults are standing behind you right now because they expect you to come take the mic. Don't take it yet, though. Okay. Think about the underlying issue critical to my presentation today. The challenges culminating from the dumb expectations of policymakers that have imbued upon our community. When I say dumb, I'm not talking about inherent aptitude of people in there who don't get it. I'm talking about dumb as in deafening, undermining, misinformed, modest, marginalizing, and bottomless policies that do nothing but pull the rug beneath my first-generation brothers and sisters. When I say TRiO works, little do they know that our students fly. Little do they know that our students breathe, eat, sleep, learning, knowledge. It's about time that we challenge assumptions about you. But that doesn't start unless you start self-advocating. You come up here and you do more than just stand there. Okay? We are not ornaments on a tree. It's about time that we challenge assumptions. After 5 decades of TRiO, there's a towering beacon of success, and it's on the perimeter. All the adults who've done it here before you. TRiO deals with the whole person. It doesn't make excuses. It finds ways to get all of you involved. At the end of the day, my former Upper Bound students know even 15 years later, know that they can call me always. They can messenger pigeon me. They can go get 2 cans and a string, and I'm going to be there. They can smoke signal me. They do whatever you got to do. Super poke me until my laptop implodes. I'm going to be there. TRiO actively and deliberately breaks the cycle of poverty and racial segregation. I must confess, even during college, I didn't believe I deserved to be there. I was haunted by feelings of self-doubt. How many of you have felt self-doubt before? This is our little Oprah moment, although we're outside. For what it's worth, your ability to utilize TRiO through college, italicized, underlined, and bolden, through college. We don't just want you to get to college and say, all right, Arash, I'm going to take a nap. Through college, I want you to graduate and come back here. We'll make sure that these TRiO programs survive. TRiO programs are funded through graduation rates. As a member of Stanford University's admission committee, I'm almost done. As a member of our Stanford's admission committee, I read the applications of students from inner city Long Beach. I want to share an example of someone other than me who's done it. One school in particular, Hawthorne High School, is served by the Cal State Lutheran Upper Bound program. First, some context about this school, which might mirror some of the resources that are or are not available to you. Hawthorne's textbooks, when I went to go see that high school, are outdated. Some of the students actually have to share their textbooks. It's difficult to identify them because their covers are peeling off into cardboard scrolls. During my visit to Hawthorne, I can recall several students asked if I was lost and why the hell Stanford would, quote, bother visiting their school. Poor brown kids aren't supposed to learn, a couple of them said to me. The perimeter of this school boasts a kaleidoscope of graffiti and murals, including an homage dedicated to a local civil rights advocate who fought for fair wages for the community's majority working class Latino families. The attendance and visitor offices are wired with district-funded metal detectors and security personnel. This ain't a jail, this is a high school we're talking about. I used to help students from this school gain admission into universities like Stanford. One student from this school, Jesus Mora, I fondly refer to him as my little Chewy, was also a student in the Cal State Lutheran Upper Bound program. Let me tell you something about Chewy. Chewy's parents are janitors. They work 50 hours a week cleaning houses. And when he wasn't caretaking after his younger sisters and maintaining his grades, Chewy worked beside his parents to put food on the table. In the summer prior to his junior year, Upper Bound Math and Science program provided Chewy with the opportunity to take rigorous AP courses that were unfortunately budgetary cuts at Chewy's own high school. Additionally, students in the residential Upper Bound program, like Chewy, were shuttled to colleges during the summer. One of the colleges Chewy got to visit with his classmates was Stanford, where I had the privilege of meeting this phenomenal young man. It was during my presentation to the Upper Bound program that I first encountered Chewy. When the time came to apply to college, Chewy and his Hawthorne classmates received supplemental college counseling from the Upper Bound advisors. Let me tell you something. Today, I'm proud to say that Chewy is a straight A student at Stanford University. He's majoring in physics. He's majoring in physics. By the way, his math scores were about average for Chicano Latino males, about 470 per sub-score. This boy's getting a straight A average at Stanford. He works a part-time job at the Stanford Student Store and maintains his activism through El Centro Chicano Latino with the Los Hermanos group on campus. What do? Remember when I said circular poetry? They raise scholarship funds for other first-generation students like you aspiring to beat the odds. I'm honored to know Chewy. I'm honored to know you. I'm positive this is only the beginning of his epic journey. And as a function of programs like Upper Bound, students like Jesus Mora reach for the stars and do work. From billions of miles away, the earth looks like a dot. The bitter struggles and the quest for power seem trivial, but they unite all of us. And yet our entire world is not united. Every person we know or knew and loved or hated has been confined to the same dot, but we forget that. I've learned since leaving the war in Iran, leaving the burial sites of my brothers, all has been on the surface of the same rock hurling through space. and that any pain I've ever felt is merely the experience that connects me to you today. My grandfather told me before I left for the United States that no matter how obscure and frighteningly vast college may seem, there's no hint that help will come from anywhere else from yourself unless you fail to take your privilege for granted. What I'm telling you here today is be your own hero. TRiO is an example, but you need to be your own hero. Provide the example for your little brothers and sisters, for your classmates, for the subsequent generations of TRiO alumni. Finally, I'd like to leave you with a poem that I wrote for you today. So I'm sorry it's a little cheesy. I'll try not to tag you on Facebook. I don't want to put anyone on blast. I know prom's coming up. A poem which I wrote in honor of you, because I'm humbled by you. In celebration of expectations that we will recreate for ourselves each day with each successful graduation that will happen here. The strength in TRiO is in the numbers of students served. All of you who will attend, who will be added to the names of successful TRiO products. Much like Jesus Mora, I can't wait to hear the story of your incredible journey someday. So here's my poem. But before I read my poem, let's put our fists up together in solidarity. Proud, proud, proud. How silent and proud my life flowed through like a curious stream, in heart of these silent, deserted dreams. From the corridors of those empty, cheerless pages to the children from the towns of sleepless faces. Not a man, woman, or pen sings, not one colorful star stirs. Oh, how silent and proud my life flowed through like a curious stream, remembering that we are all hurt. Thank you.
I counted 8 words that I had to look up later. Thanks. I always learn from that guy. All right.